Hey there, football fans. Welcome back to Goalside. Footballers nowadays earn a ton of money, especially at the top level. Sponsorship deals, club contracts, and self-image rights all combine to some unimaginable sums that make footballers some of the richest sportsmen in the world. Just looking at the latest list of top 10 richest sportspersons, you'll find Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi sitting on second and third. But one went under the radar. Far from the spotlight, he became the richest footballer on the planet. And his name is Faik Bokieha. Bokieha was born in Brunei in 1998, but he wasn't just like any other boy there. Namely, his father is the Sultan's younger brother, which automatically made the young Faik very rich by birth time. However, Faik's family wanted him to move away from all the spectacle and glory and try to live a normal life far away from the spotlights in Brunei. Thus, they decided to move Bokieha out to the United Kingdom, where he would go on and have a normal upbringing and life. He was just 8 years old when he moved countries, and the move to England couldn't have been easy for him. However, one thing that was always there was football. I've played football since as early as I can remember, and from a young age, I've always enjoyed going out on the field and having the ball at my feet. Bokieha was raised in southeast of England, Newbury to be exact. It was a good life, given that it's one of the richer places in the UK. But Faik himself didn't feel entitled in any way. Instead, he was a disciplined boy ready to work hard for his opportunity to become a professional footballer one day. The award came when he was 11, as Faik signed with one of the most prestigious academies in all the country, Southampton's famed academy that produced some top-class players such as Gareth Bale, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, Luke Shaw, Matt Letizia, Adam Lallana, Callum Chambers, and many other worldwide famous superstars in football. Faik would go on and spend a couple of years playing for Southampton's academy before he made a move. He was denied after a trial at Reading, but Faik didn't give up. He was given a chance to try with Arsenal. The youngster featured in a Lion Cup in Asia, where he actually scored a winning goal against the Singapore side for Arsenal as the Gunners won 2-1. In the end, Arsenal decided against keeping him at the club, but their London neighbors had different plans. Chelsea carefully scouted his performances before snatching him up as soon as Arsenal let him go, offering him a 2-year youth contract in 2014. That wasn't a small feat by any means. Chelsea were still fresh off of their 2012 Champions League run, and the Blues even won the Premier League and were widely considered as one of the top 5 teams in Europe at the time of the youngster's signature. While this had a lot of prestige to it, it was also clear that Faik wouldn't get playing time anytime soon, especially because he was only 16 years old when they signed him. A couple of years passed by, and the youngster couldn't get an opportunity to play for the first team. So, in an attempt to revive his career at 18, Faik looked for suitors and found one in Leicester in 2016, as the Foxes were just crowned the Premier League champions in one of the most spectacular feats in the history of the sport. Playing for Leicester, Faik signed a 3-year contract, keeping him at the club until 2019. Some suspected that he was only given such a large contract because of Leicester's owner, who tragically died in an airplane crash a couple of years later. Namely, Vijay Srivadhanaprabha. The Leicester owner is a Thai businessman and one of the richest people in Asia, so it made sense for him to try and strengthen the relationship with Thailand's southern neighbor, Brunei, considering the player's heritage. The suspicions were made even larger after it was revealed that Faik went on to a couple of trials and was rejected before Leicester gave him home. In 2019, he extended his contract for another year, staying with the Foxes. Bleacher Report spoke to an insider from Leicester once, who admitted that everyone in the club knew who the youngster was. There was some real excitement and interest when he came here. There was buzz amongst the press and supporters, partly because of who he is. Within the club, though, there was an impulse to play it down. It's not something that was played up. Being the son of a Brunei prince can bring you a lot of benefits in the country. In fact, Faik Bokieha became the national team's captain without a single senior appearance for his team in England, Leicester. He plays as a winger and relies on his pace to beat his marker, often successfully doing so. Despite some controversy with his Leicester signature, the youngster did deserve what he earned, given that Faik dedicated himself to football from a very early age. My parents have always been supportive in helping me to achieve my dreams of being a footballer, and they trained me hard both psychologically and physically through my childhood years, so I have to say they are my role models. His parents actually did a good job of moving him away from Brunei. This is because his father's brother, the Sultan, has all the power in the world in the country, and he is basically the law himself. This is why Faik's early move made sense in order to avoid all the trouble. To give you a sense of perspective, Faik's uncle, the Sultan of Brunei, is valued at around $20 billion. So it's no wonder that one of Faik's favorite activities is playing football with his tiger at home, just for the fun of it. Additionally, Faik's father owns, wait for it, 2,300 cars. The family is rich beyond any imagination, so it isn't even that surprising that they allegedly spent $14 million to celebrate Jeffrey Bokaya's 50th birthday. Jeffrey himself spends around $35 million a month on luxury car maintenance. Luckily for Fike, he wasn't alone once he moved to England. Dennis Wallace, a former NBA player living in the UK, took Fike under his wing, which made sense because of Wallace's other son, Yukasya, who's the same age as the Brunei talent. The two were actually cousins, making for a perfect platform to grow up together, especially with both of them having serious footballing aspirations. With the ball at their feet, they were outstanding, Wallace proclaimed. It sounds awful this, but he wanted the boys playing for a better team than Woolton Hill, he says. Their philosophy was that everyone gets to play irrespective of ability, which is fine, but my philosophy was to create more teams and have a first team, second team, third team, and so on. Interestingly enough, it was Yukasya who was the one everyone thought was the better of the two. That was primarily because he was a lot taller and stronger. Fike was quite a small guy, still is quite small in fact. Small in stature, but so much skill. Both of them were very, very good players. Yukasya was a lot taller than Fike and looked like a bigger talent in their earlier days. However, somewhere after Southampton adventures, their paths split up, with Yukasya's professional career falling off a cliff, while Fike continued his hunt for glory. Wallace even spoke about his views on the situation and the development of the boys. That was a surprise to me because back at the beginning, Yukasya had been the better player, mainly because of his physicality. But then towards the end of the 2008-9 season, Fike was the one who really blossomed. He became a fantastic goal scorer with amazing pace. Maybe it's not a great story. They weren't full of attitude like you might expect, didn't bring a load of glamour to training. They were just normal, down-to-earth kids who took their football seriously. Fike and Yukasya's talents were complemented by Wallace. The former NBA professional knew a whole lot about being an athlete, thus providing them with the best possible care that a young sportsman can imagine. We already mentioned that Fike captains the Brunei national team solely based on his family's legacy. However, he did score once in his 9 appearances for the country. Fike now plays for Leicester's reserves, and it's unlikely that he will make a first-team debut anytime soon. The insider from Leicester opened up on this, adding, "There's still a long way before he breaks into the first-team area. When we're looking at players who are going to be coming through in the near future, he's not usually named in that list. Whether or not he comes through at a later date remains to be seen. At the minute, though, he's not one of the youngsters likely to be coming through straight away." It's a curious case with Fike. He is sponsored by Nike, and he still lives a life of luxury in the UK, owning all sorts of high-end vehicles, living in a big house, and playing with his tiger. However, he's still opted to live the life of a professional athlete rather than just spending his family's fortune without any responsibility or meaning. While many would say it's easy, it still is an admirable feat for the youngster because, let's face it, only a few of us would choose to play for Leicester reserves rather than recklessly spending the family's fortune to no end.